Hey, what's up guys? Brandon Bass here, and today I want to talk a little bit about my personal fitness journey, which I'm going to give a little shout out to Kevin, who we had a nice conversation over Instagram direct message, and he kind of mentioned me making a video about this. I'm not making this video to kind of talk about me and talk about, things that I've done. I want to make this video to talk to you about, if you're going through something similar that I'm going through, if you're just starting your fitness journey, this may be a video that you may be able to relate to. So I'm going to kind of start with how exactly I got kind of, bitten by the fitness bug, as they say. When I was about 17 years old, I picked up my very first fitness magazine, and I was pretty inspired by not like the big, massive bodybuilders like Ronnie Coleman or Jay Cutler. I mean, I definitely respected what they had built and respected what they had accomplished, but it was guys like, Tito Raymond at the time, Stan McQuay, kind of the Frank Zanes, guys like that, maybe kind of slightly smaller frame, more aesthetic, and more, at least, what I thought was natural at the time. I used to think Arnold was natural, so I was a pretty naive kid. But, I think that, that mindset, thinking everybody was natural, definitely propelled me, because I kept saying, well, if they can do it, I can do it. So I'm going to stay drug-free, and I'm going to push my body as hard as I can, because look how big they got. Of course, I was hit with reality, a couple of years into my training journey, that most people that are in this industry, or most people that compete, are not drug-free. But one thing that was important to me was to stay steroid-free. We all have different definitions of what drug-free actually means. For me, it means, you don't take steroids, you don't take growth hormone, diuretics for a competition, stuff like that. You just do it. You can take supplements, you can take, over-the-counter type stuff, but it's more of steroids, injecting, and oral consumption of steroids. So that's something I've never done. It's something that's been important to me throughout my entire fitness journey. So this is something that, you're looking into getting started in, and you still want to stay drug-free, but a lot of people are telling you, well, you can't do it because you got to take steroids. It's not true. I've been fortunate enough to be on magazine covers, to have been inside Muscle and Fitness, probably 20 separate issues, won competitions, placed top 3 in many competitions. So I think it's in non-tested competitions. So I think it's important to not listen to people when they tell you you can't do something just because you're not going to take steroids. You have to push your body to its natural capability, and you have to, educate yourself on proper programming, educate yourself on, nutrition and what your calories and macros should be set up as, and then of course educate yourself when it comes to proper supplementation. So that's what this channel is all about, is educating you through proper training, nutrition, and supplementation, and trying to show you guys the right way to do it as I see fit. Okay, with that said, my journey pretty much starts when I was about 17 or 18, when I picked up my first magazine, and I was inspired by those kind of slightly smaller physiques, guys who were more aesthetic and had just a frame that I felt like I could actually attain. And from there, I pretty much entered my first competition when I was 18. I don't have any pictures on my phone or anything. I need to find some of those old photographs just to post. But I mean, I think I weighed in at like 140 pounds when I was 18 on my very first show. I did not place at all. I didn't do very well. It was my first time competing, and I dropped so much muscle. I didn't really know how to diet or know how to prepare for a show, but I definitely was still, inspired and still motivated to get on stage and to continue to train. So that was one thing that really kind of kept me in the game, was just stepping on stage. So guys, if you're a little apprehensive about doing your first competition, and you say, well, I'm going to wait until I put on enough muscle, that's probably never going to happen. So you might as well just like say, all right, I'm going to pick a date, and then I'm going to compete, and then see what happens, and then from there you can kind of pick another show. But I see a lot of times young guys are really apprehensive to step on stage because they don't think they're big enough. And the thing is, they end up waiting so many years, and then they just never compete, and then they say, oh no, I don't want to do it anymore. I think if you have the desire to step on stage, I think you should pick a show. Who cares, how well you do the very first time you compete? It's your first time, so really it shouldn't matter. I think you should just pick a date, go for it, and just and just do your best. And then from there, you can kind of reassess and then say, all right, I'm gonna wait a year and put on size and then compete again. But that's one thing I see with a lot of people, and I think it's important that, you know, just go for it. There's never going to be the perfect time to do something. So yeah, I competed when I was 18, and then from there, I pretty much took a year off, tried to put on size, or I may have taken 2 years off, and then I competed in the Musclemania circuit, which, if people have seen the pictures of those guys, I actually thought it was, you know, a drug-free organization at the time. But I don't think it was, if anybody has seen the people who compete in that organization. So I competed in the Musclemania circuit for a while, and then I kind of decided that instead of competing, I want to go kind of more towards the fitness model route. And I want to try to book jobs and book fitness magazines and stuff like that. You know, this was before Instagram and Facebook and all this stuff, so I really didn't have an avenue to kind of promote myself. So it was more about just taking pictures and trying to push yourself to certain photographers. So, you know, I would take you know, photo shoots with like a local photographer in Texas, where I grew up in Dallas, and then I would submit those to guys in LA, you know, the big guys who shoot for Muscle and Fitness, and you know, there were a lot more magazines back then, Muscle and Health, like Exercise for Men, stuff like that. And so what happened was I ended up doing some shoots and submitting them to guys in LA, and I ended up booking some shoots with some guys in LA. So I flew to LA when I was about 20, I think I was 23, 24 at the time, and I ended up booking 2 magazine covers, which I booked Exercise for Men, and then I booked Muscle and Performance, which is the magazine that Vitamin Shop puts out every month. And I had a huge, like, 6-page spread. I was like so happy that I booked that, and from there I was pretty much like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to continue to do this. And at 25, I packed my bags with very little money, and I moved to New York City and signed with a fitness modeling agent. And from there, I still live in New York, and from there I've been pretty much, you know, working with different companies like Under Armour, of course Muscle and Fitness all the time, which is a great magazine, great publication. I love working with them, and, you know, I have a great relationship with them at the point where they just, if I'm in shape, ready to go, they call me and say, hey, can you be ready in a week? And I'm just like, yeah, let's do it. And, you know, show up and shoot. That's kind of like the fitness model's dream, right? I mean, you want to be in a position to get a phone call and be ready in a week and then go. So for me, it's like I have to constantly be ready in terms of my physique. I have to pretty much stay, you know, at a level of leanness. So bulking and cutting really doesn't make sense for me anymore, because if I'm bulking and they call, I'm not gonna get that job. So yeah, pretty much that's kind of my journey. I went through some ups and downs when I was like 22 or 23. I ended up, before I booked all these photo shoots, I went through a really deep depression. After I had knee surgery, they found like this benign tumor growing on my patellar tendon, and, you know, my knee was always kind of bothering me, and I think it stemmed from when I played football I was like 14 or 15. I played football and took a hit to my knee, and it ended up tearing a little bit of cartilage. And from there, it ended up, I think that was the impact that ended up started the growth of this tumor. It's called PVNS. It's like a very rare joint disease that I had. And so after that surgery, it was a very long recovery. And it was like 6 months on crutches, and it was just a terrible thing. And I just like wasted away to nothing. I wasn't going to the gym. I was eating terribly. I was going out and drinking all the time, even on crutches. And then when I got off the crutches, I was still going out. Like I couldn't really work out. I wasn't supposed to put a lot of pressure on my knees, but I was still going out and drinking all the time with my friends. And it was just like I was in a very, very deep depression. It was like it was the lowest point that I've been in terms of physically and mentally. I was just not in a good place, and I realized that fitness plays a huge role in not only my physical self but my mental kind of happiness. You know, it's like, it's not just about how you look, it's just the way it made me feel. You know, exercising is part of my life, and it's something that I'm happy to embrace. And I hope that most people that watch my channel and watch my videos are kind of in the same boat, that, you know, fitness is so much more than building muscle and burning fat. It's you know, the confidence that you build through changing your body and through the discipline that bodybuilding and fitness teaches you. So, but yeah, I pretty much after I fully recovered from that, surgery, that's when I was like, all right, I'm gonna really try to bust my butt for these photo shoots, and that's what I did. Submitted it to the guys out in LA, flew out there, did the big photo shoots, and then booked the covers, and that's what really kind of was the trajectory for kind of where I am today in terms of classic physique competition, still booking work with Muscle and Fitness, going on castings here in New York, which is pretty fun. You know, a lot of times you end up seeing a lot of guys you see on Instagram in these casting offices, which is always pretty fun and always kind of cool. But yeah, that's pretty much my fitness journey, guys. As always, post any questions or comments if you guys are starting your fitness journey. You know what? Post kind of where you're at, where in your fitness journey, what your goals are, what you guys want to do, what you guys want to accomplish, and I'd be happy to hear that and happy to chime in any kind of experience or any kind of insight I can provide for you guys. Because you know, look, even though I've booked a decent amount of jobs in the fitness industry, I've also been kicked out of castings before. I mean, there was one time I went to a casting for Under Armour, which I love. I love Under Armour, and I buy their clothes, and I've worked with them before. But this particular time, I was not in great shape, and I didn't know that I was going to have to be shirtless for the casting. And so I was like, maybe I'll just show up and just see what happens. And yeah, I did have to be shirtless, and yeah, they just pretty much were like, all right, man, that's it. We don't need to see you anymore. And I never heard back from them for that job. So there are times when you know you're going to get kicked out of things or not book the things that you truly want. And it's just kind of the way that it is. I can tell you one job that I really truly wanted was for GNC. I think it was like 3 years ago. I still remember this because it was like I really wanted it. I was dieting pretty hard at the time. I think I was getting ready for a men's physique competition at the time, and we ended up getting this huge GNC casting, which in New York, the guys who booked it and the girls who booked it ended up getting a massive like billboard in Times Square, and it paid a lot of money, and you ended up being on GNC kind of logos and all that stuff all over nationwide, which I was pretty pumped to get, and I thought I had a good chance of booking it, but I didn't. I think I was narrowed down to like the top 10. They narrowed it down from whoever showed up originally. Usually hundreds of guys show up, and then I was narrowed down to like top 10 or 15, and then boom, I didn't get it. So you know, look, guys, you're not always going to, you know, things are not always going to happen overnight. Your results are obviously not going to happen overnight, but if you guys stay consistent with your training, stay consistent with your diet, and take the right supplements, I think you're going to, you know, see great results and kind of build confidence in the process. So yeah, sorry if I'm going off on a tangent here, but yeah, so guys, post any questions below or anything that you have to add to this, and hopefully you guys are going along your fitness journey really well, and I'll see you guys next time.